Hey everybody, James Yeager with Tactical Response. Thanks for watching. So I recently went on a road trip and did Gunsight 250. I talked about that. Taught some classes in Raton, New Mexico. The weather was crazy there. Literally, first off, before you say anything, everywhere I've been in the world, they say the same thing. Oh, you know what they say about Bogota? If you don't like the weather, just wait a minute, it'll change. Everybody says that everywhere I go. But literally, on Monday, record high of 90, whatever it was, 1 or 2 in Raton, New Mexico. Next day, 6 or 8 inches of snow. Then we went up to, then we traveled from Raton through the snow to Thunder Ranch, which was crazy. Crazy trip with closed interstates and, you know, dragging their trailer in the snow. You know, anyway, so we get to Thunder Ranch and Thad, aka Fat Nuts, aka hashtag Blue Falcon, takes mid-range rifle, and a great class if you want to kind of delve into the bolt rifle world. That's a great place to go and kind of cut your teeth. It's a good class if you're a beginner of long range shooting, and it's a great class to refine any long range shooting skills you may have, especially if you plan on taking the Heart class, the handgun rifle class. So Fat Nut said he was going to take the Heart class, and I suggested him to take the mid-range rifle. So he took that. I spectated during that. Tried to assist, not teaching the class, but like help the instructors, you know, with stuff. So then after that was the Perfect Storm, and that class is Rob Latham, Jason Burton, and Clint Smith. And so if we could split it, kind of broadly split that class into Rob taught the skill part, Jason ran the line for the skill part, and Clint and his staff taught the tactics part. Now, that's just broadly speaking, zooming out, kind of looking at it. And Rob will tell you from the beginning he's not a gunfight guy, he's a shooting guy. And Clint will tell you from the beginning that Rob is not a gunfight guy, he's a shooting guy. I'm just kind of joking around. But so if we look at mindset, tactics, skill, gear, the hierarchy of survival principles as I teach them, these were two rungs to that ladder, and you really can't talk to Clint Smith without getting some mindset stuff too. And then on Rob was a lot about skill and gear. So Rob kind of took care of these 2 rungs, and Clint kind of took care of these 2 rungs. But don't let me tell you that like one was better than the other one or whatever. You got excellent instruction on all the points. Now, so Clint, you know, they did the shoot house stuff, and you know the corners and all that. You know, they did all that stuff, and then Rob and Jason ran the skill part. The sorry, my nose is itching. The shot timer, speed, transitions and splits, and that stuff. And so talking about that. The first thing I'll tell you is that Rob is fucking funny. Like he's hilarious. I laughed my ass off. I had a good time, and I think that's important. I mean, we all want to be educated. We also want to be entertained, so to speak. And I think that you would find Rob to be quite humorous on and off the range. So there's that. So some things he said. He had us all kind of. Rob, and this will mostly be about Rob's part of the class because, I've talked about Clint stuff in the past, and you kind of know about Clint. Maybe some of you guys, these tactical guys, don't know much about Rob. Rob is, there's been like 25 single stack world championships or something like that, and he's won 17 of them or whatever. You can look him up. He's a shooter for sure. I mean, like, Delta Force hired him to say, hey, teach our guys to shoot better. So when Delta Force is hiring you to have their guys shoot better, you probably can teach people how to shoot. And so the first thing he did was he had us all just kind of shoot. And he walked down the line, and I'm kind of, ad-libbing this, but he's like, oh, your sights are off, your trigger's fucked, and your barrel bushing's loose. And he just kind of went down. He's like, always suspect the gun first. And I think his point was, if you eliminate the gun, then it's got to be you. And Rob, like many people that are gifted, can't tell you exactly what they're doing, and it shows in his teaching. And I'm not saying that like to be critical. It's all geniuses have that problem. And there's 7 to 9 different types of genius: mathematics, linguistics, intrapersonal, and then kinesthetics, body alignment, balance, and all that stuff. And so, if you see an Olympian doing some Olympic stuff, they might not be able to add 2 plus 2, but they are a genius in another realm. I digress. So, the 4 most important things, according to Rob Latham: gripping the gun, but not holding the gun perfectly still. He lets the gun do its thing. Number 2, the second most important thing: pressing the trigger without moving the sights, without moving the gun. Pressing the trigger without moving the gun. I'll give you that. 3, something else, and 4, aiming. So, grip, pressing the trigger without moving the gun. 3, something else. 4, aiming. And you might say, and some of the people in the class probably also went, "What the fuck?" But I got it. And what I mean by that is, he kind of said, yeah, I used to say, grip, hold the gun without going off, something else, and aiming. There is something else. And so, depending on what level a shooter you are, you may or may not, there are people in that class that probably thought he was fucking around, and this is another joke of his. Nah, it wasn't. That's that genius showing itself. He does something, he can't tell you what it is. He cannot articulate to you his kinesthetic prowess. He can't. And that manifests itself with, he doesn't want to tell you, he doesn't leave it out. He doesn't want to leave that part out, but he doesn't know how to teach it to you. And so you'll find this very often with people that are that gifted. They can't tell you how they're doing it. And I thought it was fantastic. But it also hit home with me. I understood what he meant. As soon as he said it, when he went, something else, number 4, aiming. Like, I got it instantly. I was like, there's something this motherfucker can't teach me. I have to either know it or pick it up somewhere along the way without it being spoken, or I'm never going to get it. And I really appreciated his honesty about it. So, trigger manipulation. A lot of people think that what I teach people to do is press trigger, hold it, pin it to the rear, let it forward till it clicks, blah, blah, blah. I do that in one class for one string to teach people what trigger reset is. There are people watching this video right now. They've heard it. They've heard trigger reset. They think they know. They don't know what it is. So what I have noticed over the years, what I'm trying to do is to get people's finger will come so far off the trigger sometime it goes outside the trigger guard. So over the years, what I've talked about is constant contact coming off the trigger, but never losing the trigger, never letting off the trigger. Reset's fantastic. I use reset. But I think that people have kind of trying to follow the sensei have kind of went overboard with it. And there are a lot of things. There are a lot of things that I try to teach people without teaching them. For instance, when we do turns, I say, look, turn, shoot. I've been to schools where they say, look, move your right foot forward to this many degrees, pivot on your feet, and then now you're thinking about these choreographed dance moves and not actually looking, turning, and shooting. That's the same thing with trigger reset. I've tried to just kind of like leave it out. And what I've noticed is that 99.999% of people do what they're supposed to do. Bang, they come off the trigger, they go past reset and come back to the wall. And so when I took the class, that's what Rob teaches. Go on. Rob comes all the way off the trigger and comes back on. And a lot of people watch that and they think he's yanking the trigger. Nothing could be further from the truth. He's coming off the trigger, back onto the wall, breakdown to the wall. And that's what most of us do, not at the speed or the precision or the finesse in which he does it, but that's what most of us do. We come off of it, we go past the reset, we don't come off the trigger though, and we come back to the trigger. And so that was one of the things in the class that made me really kind of consider what I'm teaching people. I don't think I'm teaching anybody anything wrong, but I'm thinking, do I need to change the way I describe what, like I said, some people don't even know what trigger reset is. I want them to know where that wall is because I want them to come back to it. So I'm completely content with the way I teach and what I teach right now, but taking Rob's class made me think, do I need to maybe modify my explanation? I don't think I do, because people are already doing what I want them to do. So it's kind of one of those things. Anyway, that was fun. Don't fight the recoil. Don't force the gun to be still. Let the gun settle, then press the shot. So that's my phone again. Sorry. Bang! The gun goes off. Your the gun comes back down, and bang! The gun goes off. You let off the trigger. The gun comes back down. You come back to the wall, and you're ready to fire the next shot. Again, this is not slapping the trigger, yanking the trigger, or anything negative in any way. And the gun will come back down before your finger has done it. Rob had somebody in the class film him in slow motion. The gun, boom, before his finger can get back to the wall. So people notice when I shoot the gun, the gun does this. Like holding the gun perfectly still, and that's good. I mean, you're not doing anything really wrong. That's good. You never lose the front sight and all that stuff. But the other way is let the gun do its thing, and it'll snap right back down to where it was going. So again, I'm not changing the way I teach anything. I teach people to hold on to the fucking gun, squeeze the fuck out of it. I'm going to continue doing that because that's what I think people will do in a fight. So I'm just kind of rambling, kind of trying to get this in my head at the same time I'm talking to you. So there's that. Rounds that go high, if somebody is shooting slow, what I have found is they typically have an astigmatism. But if they're shooting fast, Rob says that's he calls it anti-jerking, timing the gun, pushing on the gun, etc., etc. So they're basically pressing the trigger before the gun has gotten all the way back down. They're outrunning, they're overdriving their headlights. And this is a thing that everybody should get. Everybody should believe this. Everybody should understand this. You can only hit as fast as you can aim, not as fast as you can shoot. You can only hit as fast as you can aim, not as fast as you can pull the trigger. It's pretty simple. I will say again, I had a great time, learned a bunch, and it's a thing in the class. There was all different skill levels. I learned different things than other students did. So if there are students ahead of me as far as skill went, they learned kind of different stuff than I did, and the guys that were maybe below me on a skill level. But I had a fantastic time. Again, Rob's super funny. Jason did a great job running the line. Jason's funny. Jason's a good dude. Jason's the 1911 a gun craftsman. I'll call him that. I guess a pretty high praise. I don't think he's taking any new clients, so don't look his stuff up. Heirloom Precision. Clint, as always, is a pleasure to be around. Heidi, always a pleasure to be around. They always make me feel like family when I'm there. I love being around those guys. If you get a chance to train with Clint Smith or Rob Latham, I'm going to go ahead and tell you, you might want to start saving up your shekels and get in there and get some training. I can't recommend these guys highly enough. If you are not a accomplished shooter, maybe wait a while till you take Rob's class, because the higher skill level you go in there with, the more you can glean off of him. If you're barely lining up your, if you can't shoot the gun without jerking the trigger, don't go to take his class. That's not your guy. Anyway, so I had a great time, learned a ton. You should train with these guys. Hell, I don't know what else to say. Fat Nuts is the Blue Falcon. This is James Yeager with Tactical Response, reminding you that your responsibility to be ready for the fight never ends.